Good morning. We're into Boise week. It's always a big week around here. Obviously, being a conference opponent, one that was picked to win their side of the conference, having to go up there to a place where Fresno State football team has not won since 1984. We know it's going to be a difficult chore against a very well coached, very talented team. Going on the road after last week, not performing as well as we can. We know we've got to, go back to work on just basic fundamentals of the game. You watch the tape and you can, see the reasons why we didn't get it done last week, but you also see glimmers of hope that we're close in a lot of areas. But we've, clearly got to play more efficiently and get it done to play against a really good Boise State team. So, any questions, anybody?
After reviewing the tape of the loss at UNLV, what was the most significant thing that jumped out at you?
Well, the most significant thing was that we had critical errors in way too many aspects of the football game, offensively, defensively, and in the special teams. And when you add all those things together, obviously a loss can result. And it wasn't one play, one individual, but a number of breakdowns. And it's something that has to be fixed and will be fixed.
You always talk about getting a fast start, and that's been a big part of your success over the 3 years here, starting well. But so far in 7 games, you only had one first quarter where you guys jumped out. How much of that centers around the quarterback position, and is a possible change there in the works this week?
Well, obviously, when you start well, the quarterback's going to get credit for it, and when you don't, they're going to get a disproportionate, blame for it. We've got to play better at the quarterback position. Brian knows that, but when you look at that tape, you realize it clearly is not him. He's making the right reads. He's throwing the ball. Sometimes receivers are falling down. Sometimes they're not running the routes where they're supposed to be run. They're not reading the coverage correctly. So there's a number of different reasons as to why we haven't been starting fast. And, part of it is we've got new guys at the quarterback position as well as the receiver positions, and so it's a function of being a young team. But that's not an excuse. It is what it is. We've got to get better. We've got to demand it better at practice, and we've got to, ensure that we've got the right guys out there doing it.
And that's why I brought it up, because I heard you talk about accountability and, at every position. But you're saying Brian Burrell will start again Friday?
That's what we anticipate. As long as he has a good week of practice, Brian knows he's got to take care of the football. Again, watching that tape, he's doing a lot. He's making the right reads most of the time. He's delivering the ball most of the time where it needs to be, but we're not consistent enough where we're running our routes or reading coverages. And again, he's going to get the blame for it, when things aren't complete. But it's not just Brian. And if Brian will take care of the football, he's going to be our quarterback going forward. If we have multiple turnovers, then we're going to have to look somewhere else to get the thing done.
Obviously, Coach, the first half didn't start real great for you guys, down 7-0 at halftime. But in the second half, the defense particularly seemed to play a lot better, started forcing some 3-and-outs. To you, what was the biggest adjustment you made from one half to the next?
We didn't make a whole lot of schematic adjustment. It was just playing assignment sound. Early on, we gave up a big run, and then we made them kick a field goal. On the one drive, they got a couple big plays. We had one of our senior leaders not play his assignment a couple times. Those things you can't do. It's things we repped in practice. You talk to him, in a classroom, on the sideline. He knows exactly what he's supposed to do. He didn't get it done. There's no excuse for it. It's got to get done, or we're going to look for other guys to do it. So, guys got to know that every single play counts. There's no do-overs, and it was critical. Sometimes a year ago we had an offense that was very, very explosive. You might be able to get away with some other plays. We're not that point right now. And most years you're not going to be. So we've got to be much more accountable on a day-to-day, play-by-play in practice and play-by-play in a game.
Coach, is that the biggest change we'll see then this week, is the physicality of practice, going full pads, talking about the changes? Is there anything else that you've noticed that you'll put into place?
Well, we're gonna go back to basics in some of our stuff. We're gonna do a little bit more competition, offensive versus defense. But it's more of a mindset. We're not gonna do anything dramatically different schematically. It's going to be getting our mindset, because we have got to go up against a very physical Boise team and play well. And the only way you know how to do that is go by practice well and practice hard. So that's the plan.
Coach, what maybe disappointed you or upset you the most about Friday night?
The fact that we didn't execute. We had guys in position to make plays that didn't make them. And sometimes it was younger guys, but sometimes it was older guys. And, when it comes down to it, football's a game of 11 versus 11, but there's a lot of one-on-ones that you've got to win, especially if you're a guy who's unblocked, if you're a guy who's got a chance to make an interception, if you're a guy that has a one-on-one opportunity to make a catch. You got to make those plays. And too many times we didn't make those plays, and we've got to do that to be able to win a football game.
And what do you think of their running back, Jai? How important is that going to be trying to stop him this week?
I think he's one of the best backs in the league. He and Pumphrey probably are very different style running backs, but probably the two best running backs in this league. He's a very more physical running back, but he's elusive as well. He's an excellent back for what they're trying to do. They're a downhill running team. They run a lot of power and inside-outside zone with him. They'll use him in the wildcat. They're trying to get him touches in many ways as they can. And he's a bruising runner. And so you got to get multiple guys to the point of attack. One-on-one, he makes a bunch of guys miss, especially if he's out in space. He's going to physically run through tackles. So you've got to bring people to the point of attack and play with tremendous intensity.
What did Air Force do so well in that game? Or did the quarterback have a bad day? 4 picks in that game. What did they do this?
Well, when you create 7 takeaways, it's hard for anybody to overcome that. And that was the biggest difference in the ball game. They were able to move the ball, on Air Force, but when you turn it over that many times, it's tough.
Was that Air Force forcing turnovers, or was it Boise?
It's a combination. They physically stripped Ajayi the ball. A couple times the ball was overthrown, or and guys were in position. On one play they're running stick, and the inside linebacker jumps the route underneath the tight end and makes a pick. It was a number of different things. And some days it's not your day. Some days you're just off a little bit. Air Force was able to take advantage of it and played extremely well. It was just one of those days. When Hedrick plays well, like he did against Nevada and Colorado State, they play well. Just like when Brian plays well, we play well. More and more, especially with these type of offenses, if your quarterback plays well, you're going to have a chance. If he doesn't, it's going to be a struggle.
Coach, with the kicking issues that you guys have, how much does that handcuff you, especially when it kind of looks like you guys are playing a lot of tight games this year, in the sense of how you might normally coach in certain situations, say in the overtime period? Is it changing how you're approaching those situations?
Well, we're happy that we have Cody, but we don't want to put him in some situations that his probability for success maybe not be as high as what we'd like it to be. And so, it's difficult, but it's something we have to navigate. We got to finish drives more. We got to do a better job defensively, and not let people tie games up or goes into overtime. Those kind of things.
Would you have considered kicking the field goal if the kicking situation was solid in the overtime there?
Yeah, we considered it obviously, but when you missed the extra point before and you had another one partially blocked, at the line of scrimmage, it wasn't a blocking issue. You obviously have concerns, when you back up. So, we're going to keep working with Cody, during practice, and get him to where he feels more confident, and hopefully we can get him to a point where we feel like we can put him in a game where he can win a game for us.
In pregame, it seems like he can kick them from 45 without a lot of problems. We were watching a pregame. He looked really good. Is it just a case of nerves, or the stages maybe?
Have you seen me on the driving range? I can slam them right down, but you put a lake on this side and trees on this side. There's other factors that come into play, and there's got to be the snap, the whole thing put together. And it's very difficult up in the stands, or on the sideline even. It looks like it's easy. It's a tough job, and to put a true freshman in that position when he came in thinking, hey, I'm going to be the backup, it's going to be great. Now all of a sudden he's pressed into that position. It's tough, and we're going to try to again put him in as many situations as we can where he can have success, and just try to keep grooming him that way.
Coach, the way this conference is, you guys still control your own fate. Has that been the message to refocus this team and maybe a greater sense of urgency?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We know that our slack, for lack of a better term, has been erased. We've got to win out. And, you know, I reminded our team yesterday, the last 2 years, we've won the conference, we lost a conference game. You know, we don't have that luxury right now, we've already lost one. But we're tied for second in the conference, it's still early in the conference. You know, I really believe whoever wins and loses this game, you know, might separate themselves from the pack. So it's a critical game for us. And, you know, to go on the road, it's going to be difficult, but you know, I think our guys, when pressed and backed into a corner, you know, are going to come out fighting, and I anticipate we'll do that on Friday.